Hi, my name's Dave Adams. Welcome to Nerds of Wisdom Weekly, and today I want to talk about games that I wish hit the table more often. So, let's get started. Now, last week, if you were on any Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook account with people who love board games, you probably saw a lot of posts. Either people going to Essen, people at Essen, updates from Essen, articles from Essen, reviews from Essen, people showing what they'd bought from Essen. Essen. You are my Mecca, and I do hope to one day visit you. Essen sees the release of about 300 new games, and quite frankly, I will probably never see most of those games, and more specifically, I'll play even less than that. With so many games coming out, I look at my collection, I go, what about you poor games that I haven't seen in a while? How many of them do I wish I could get to the table just one more time or a few more times this year? Games that I really like that I simply just haven't had enough time to play or haven't made the time to play more of. So this week I didn't want to just give a top 10 list of games that I wish hit the table more often. I want to set myself the challenge of actually trying to get these games to the table. It's not hard and fast, but I'd really like to play some of these games again. I should specify that firstly, these aren't in any particular order. It's not a countdown or anything like that. And I'm not actually doing reviews. I'm not here to review the games. I'm just going to state which games they are and provide some thoughts onto why I like them so much and why I want to play them again. So without further ado, let's just get straight into it. First game up is Biblioth. Now, this game had a lot of hype when it came out. I saw it on people's top 10 lists for filler games and favorite short games or whatever. But it's a game I really enjoyed playing and really haven't had a chance to play it as often as I would like. The game utilizes several mechanics which I just think work really well together to building up the tension in the game. The first phase of the game is this drafting element where you're meant to provide a card to every person at the table, including yourself, and one to the bidding set pile, but you only draw one card at a time and you don't know what cards you're going to draw next. So you're trying to give yourself the best card, but you can't really know if the best card has come out yet. So there's this tension of decision making which I really like. Now, part of the game is set collection, but it has this added element that you don't just collect a particular color set of cards. That color set is worth a certain number of points for each card you have in it, and that's determined by the center dice in the table, where all values are set at 3, but over the course of the game, you can manipulate those values. So suddenly, if I'm collecting red and I can manipulate the dice, I'm going to try and increase the value of all red cards by increasing the value on the red die. If I see someone at the table collecting green, I'm going to try and lower the value of green. So when we get to the bidding phase, suddenly I've started to develop a sense of which cards are more valuable based on the values of the dice in the center of the table. I've started to collect certain sets. I'm trying to achieve certain goals. And then we get to this element of the bidding where I actually know what's in the bidding pile based on what I put in there. So depending on the number of players, if it's 2 players, I would know about 50% of the deck. But if it's 4 players, I only know about a quarter of it. So it creates this really interesting tension. And the best thing is that money is scarce. So what you bid on is really important. And the amount you bid on is vital. So the thing I like about it is that it just builds this tension really well, and I really enjoy playing Biblioth and hope to get it out another time before the end of the year. The next game is hugely popular when it first came out. In fact, it was popular for many years afterwards, and that's Alhambra. In fact, I believe they're still releasing expansions to this game. Just haven't seen it as prominently as I used to. I don't know if that's because people are actually playing it less or people just aren't writing about it as much. However, in my own groups, I tend to think that the theme is a bit of a letdown for some people. Not everybody likes building Alhambras. In fact, most of my friends didn't even know what it was. However, I really enjoy the elements of trying to get the best tiles to make them suit and trying to create the longest wall and all the different elements of scoring. I also like some of the reward parts of if I pay with the exact money, I get to have another turn. I just wonder if the theme itself is what causes it to not hit the table as often as I would like in my specific groups of people who tend to like more sci-fi adventures. But for me, it's a definite hit. I love it, and I'm going to be trying to get it out again soon. Next up is a game that really requires a certain group of people to play with it. You have to have the right attitude, and that's Cutthroat Caverns. Now, this game is predominantly a co-op game. Now, when I say co-op, that's a little bit misleading because To actually take down these monsters, which are huge, you must work together with your traveling companion. The problem is that the only one to actually score points and win all the booty from killing the monster is the one who strikes the winning blow. So you get this build-up of everybody trying to collaborate to kill the monster and get it to the cusp of dying, and then trying to essentially screw each other over to actually steal the victory or to steal the kill. I just find it has a lot of fun moments with this mixture between collaboration and take that, and knowing when to use your cards and when to hold back. It has the highest highs and the most soul-crushing defeats, depending on whether you're the one actually stealing the kill or having the kill stolen from you. San Juan was an absolutely massive hit, and I don't think anyone's denying it, except I was kind of late coming to the party. And so for some of my friends, they're done playing the game, and I've only just discovered it and am eager to get it to the table, but they don't want to play it. For others of my friends, it's that Alhambra issue where they prefer to not so much build civilizations of old cities, they prefer to do it in space, so they much prefer Race for the Galaxy. And I don't mind Race for the Galaxy, but I actually find San Juan is just so much more streamlined and simple, and it doesn't require me to memorize all of those different symbols, so I really quite find it both engaging as well without the cognitive strain that Race for the Galaxy can be. So for me, I just have to find the right group of people who will actually want to play and enjoy playing it, and so that's going to be my challenge this year. The next couple of games are storytelling games, and again, these sorts of games are very dependent on who you're playing with. The first game is Once Upon a Time, which is a wonderful collaborative group storytelling experience where everyone is telling the one story, and you're trying to play your cards and incorporate those cards into the group narrative without deviating too much, without sounding too out of place, or without jumping the story and being called for it by others, in which case you lose your turn and you have to draw a card. The problem with this game is that it can get lost to people who just seem to rabbit on so fast that no one can really understand what they're saying and get involved in the game. So when I play, I tend to slow down my storytelling. I like to give people the opportunity to jump in just to enhance that game side of it. However, for me, the fun is found in the collaborative story. I don't mind losing this game so much because I'm not competing to win. I just want to create the most elaborate, crazy, out there story and have a lot of fun doing it. Gloom, however, is a little bit more competitive, and I do play to win Gloom more than I do Once Upon a Time, but the game just doesn't work without the story. I could literally just sit there and play the mechanics, but that would be dull and kind of a little purposeless. Gloom has provided some of my favorite storytelling in a card game ever. In fact, one of the best gaming experiences I had was with my brother and his daughter. We just sat down and we spent hours telling these stories about our families and having our families interact with each other and engage each other's characters. We'd run our characters in and save them and make them happier and utilize the tragedy of one character to make our story even sadder. It was just so much fun sitting around telling these horrible stories. I don't even remember who won at the end of the day. I just remember it was one of the best afternoons telling stories that I'd had in ages, and probably since. Now, it probably seems ridiculous for this next game that I have owned it for as long as I have and played it as little as I have, and that game is Cosmic Encounter. It's a wonderful game where you've got these elements of area control. You're trying to get your ships onto 5 other players' planets. There's negotiation involved, bluffing involved, and I just find it's a wonderfully engaging game. It's a lot of fun, and the shared victory is not something that even bothers me. I actually don't mind a shared victory because it's hard enough to win and finish this game as it is. But I think the big drawback for this game isn't the actual game itself. It's the fact that because it's been so long since I've played it, I'd pretty much have to sit down and read through the rules again, which probably isn't such a drawback for a game like this because I just think Cosmic Encounter would be worth it. And I'm really looking forward to sharing this game with a few of my friends because, as I've already stated, most of them are sci-fi buffs, and I think they would love it. Eldritch Horror, as a part of the Lovecraftian universe, is just a wonderful step up from one of my favorite games, Elder Signs, but it's also a more streamlined version of another game, Arkham Horror. The issue with Eldritch Horror is that it just has so much setup and reading, which makes me wonder how people ever got through Arkham. But to actually set it up and play can be a little bit daunting, and so it has sometimes meant that instead of getting Eldritch Horror, I've gone for either Elder Signs or something a little bit simpler. But again, it's definitely one that immerses you into the universe, and it's because of these games that I actually fell in love with the whole Lovecraftian theme. Now, I haven't actually read Lovecraft, and I'm planning on reading it over my Christmas break as part of my commitment to the fact that, well, the board games are so amazing. The board games have got me so engrossed into the mythos that I really want to know the stories that are involved. Fantasy Flight have done a wonderful job with bringing the Lovecraftian theme to life in so many of its games, and Eldritch Horror is definitely one that has the theme sewn right into it, and it's so much a part of it that I really do get into the story of what's actually happening and trying to take down this elder god. Now, the next game has this sort of weird relationship where it is such an easy game to get into once you start playing, but for some reason, every time I've tried to introduce it to people, it's been a real challenge for them to understand those mechanics. The game I'm talking about is Libertalia. Now, in my mind, this game shouldn't be more complex than any other game, except every time I've tried to explain it, people seem to get really confused over either the drafting or how the powers work in and out of turns. I just don't understand why this game isn't easier for people to learn. But I've just had to learn to accept the fact that once I've played it with people, they haven't really wanted to play another game of it straight afterwards, which has really meant that every time I've played it, I've been explaining it to new people and trying to help them learn the rules, which has meant that that's also a bit of a deterrent for me because I don't want to have to keep explaining the rules every time I play. My hope with this is that I might be able to find some people who like the game as much as I do and who will know the rules so that I just don't have to explain it. The final game is a real-time strategy game, and I kind of understand why these games aren't as loved as I think they should be. Because in real-time strategy, there is the potential of creating stress in decision-making. And this game is often reported for creating stress. And that's Escape: Curse of the Forbidden Temple. Now, Escape is one of my favorite short games that I love to pull out. It takes 10 minutes to play. I like to play it multiple rounds. But unfortunately, every time I've pulled it out, it's suffered from the very thing that people complain about. No, it's just too high pressure for me. I need a break. For me, I love the excitement of the rapid rolling and the trying to make quick decisions and getting stuck and then asking for help and getting people to run down and try and help you unlock your dice and all that sort of thing. So for me, the stress is part of the fun of the game because it shuts down my ability to think quickly and to move quickly and have to try and just be more instinctual in what I do. And so I have a lot of fun doing that. But for some people, that's just not what they're into. And I appreciate that. It just means I want more people to play this game with. Will you please play this game with me? So that's my 10 games that I wish hit the table more often. And I'm going to try and get those games to the table this year. Now, of course, there are other things happening this week, including the Core Mechanic, which comes out on Thursday. And this week, we're actually doing a spotlight on Antoine Bowser, one of the designers who appears multiple times on Mike Selinker's list. Also this week, you can go check out www.gamerpalooza.com. There's a whole bunch of reviews going up and some articles that I write as well, so go check those out. In particular, there are some games which are still yet to be released that they've reviewed, including Smiths of Winterforge, which is up on Kickstarter now, which is a game that I thoroughly enjoyed. It's a light Euro game. I highly recommend going and checking that out. Look at the review, go check out the Kickstarter. It's $49 Australian to kickstart it on the Kickstarter. It'll be $69 afterwards. I think that works out to just over $30 US. So it's definitely one worth checking out. And postage is free within certain countries, Australia and a few other places, I'm not sure. But go have a look. Other than that, you can also check us out on the Dice Tower, both Breakfast and Blender, or just go and check out our blog. But look, if you like what we're doing, please hit that like button. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I've been Dave Adams, and that's what's happening now.